Perfect. Good morning, everyone. Oh, Adolfo, maybe just if you can put that full screen if you can. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just
Yeah,
the wrong screen that's
presentation mode.
shared out. Yeah.
There you go.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Maybe very early morning for some. I think everyone is on the Eastern side. We'll just give everyone like a couple minutes to come in the meeting, and then we'll get started in maybe a minute or two. Okay, I think we can get started for now. I'll do a quick intro. So, hi everyone. My name is Salma Taufik, and I'm the Associate Marketing Manager here at Altanora. I will be joined today with Patrick Nadeau, our VP of Sales and Marketing, and Adolfo Montoya, our Field CTO. We're going to go through the presentation today, how to cut VDI tax costs and how to save thousands of dollars in your VDI environment with our Altanora Secure DaaS Plus. So without further ado, I'll just go over a few housekeeping items. So the webinar will take approximately 30 minutes, and then we'll allow some time for Q&A in the end. So please submit your questions in the Q&A sections, and we'll get to them at the end. Patrick is going to go ahead and present the agenda and a couple slides, and then Adolfo will take over. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Salma, for that. Welcome, everyone, to the discussion about Secure DaaS Plus. So as mentioned, we're going to discuss a little bit just who Altanora is. We're going to do that very briefly, just so you have a bit of an understanding about our experience within this specific niche marketplace. And then we're going to cover off on a little bit of a technical element. What are the different elements related to DaaS, the marketplace, the up and coming trends? What is Secure DaaS Plus, for instance? And then essentially what is going on in the marketplace and how organizations are migrating or embracing newer technologies or traditional technologies with newer elements built into it in order to meet the end user performance goals and security objectives of organizations today. So with that, let's begin. So at a very high level, like I said, we're going to keep this brief, but did want to kind of give a bit of an overview of who Altanora is so you can understand our expertise within this area. We've been a VDI expert or niche organization for nearly 20 years, founded in 2007. And we work with some of the top VDI solutions available within the marketplace. We're a Citrix Double Platinum partner, also certified service provider, as well as Omnisaw, AVD, and so on and so forth. So we bring a very strong agnostic view to the marketplace and the solutions so that our recommendations or the information that we provide is brought from an unbiased perspective. Our core services do relate around VDI and the infrastructure that supports it. So that entails everything from desktop as a service to licensing to project and implementations and so on and so forth, as well as 24/7 support. As you can see from our Follow the Sun operations, we have offices on a global scale, and we do operate with an employee-based model, meaning that even though we are located in various geographic areas, these are actually all of our employees and so on. So over the last 20 years, we've been able to build an internal team that helps keep this VDI specific knowledge in-house and allows us to provide that knowledge to our customers to help them improve on their user experiences and costing, security, and so on and so forth. So at a very high level, we just want to kind of give you an overview of our organization so you can understand the perspective and dynamic that we're bringing to this presentation as it relates to what is, a secure DaaS plus solution and why organizations are looking at these types of solutions moving forward. One of the things that we do talk about secure DaaS is the fact that a lot of these environments are being managed through sovereign or secure data centers. What we're highlighting here just for discussion purposes today is that it is critical to look at organizations that do have that sovereign cloud offering, which is not just SOC 2 or so on compliant, but also environments that are now becoming CMMC compliant, which is a huge element within our workspace and within the digital landscape today. And so essentially this just highlights where these sovereign cloud environments exist within our ecosystem, which once again just touches on our ability to talk at an expert level about these types of solutions. All right, I think at this point here, I'll just hand it over to Adolfo, our field CTO, who has, nearly 20 some odd years of experience within the industries, specifically within VDI. And so he'll walk us through this, and at the end, he'll also be able to provide some Q&A and some questions where both of us will be able to assist on that. So Adolfo,
perfect.
Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Patrick, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you're located. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us in this webinar. This particular section here is related to the global hosting services that we provide to our customers. Again, if you are trying to look for, essentially like a full managed solution where you can have your services running in one of our hosting services, this is where, these are the different models that you can actually pick and choose. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but at least to tell you that, yes, we also provide an infrastructure as a service if it's something that is in your interest. And we are more than happy to connect with you and discuss those in a workshop or type of discussion. Now, changing gears, and now let's talk about DaaS. And before I discuss more in detail the secure DaaS and what exactly it is and so forth, let me talk about the current market and what's going on with the DaaS business. One thing that I want to make sure is clear for everybody in the audience is the differences between DaaS and VDI. And this is something very common. And even for me, back at Citrus, when I used to talk to my customers, there was a big kind of like a confusion. I used to say, yes, DaaS and VDI kind of like the same thing, but the reality is there's a huge difference. When it comes to DaaS, it's essentially the desktop as a service. It's a subscription cloud PC that you, as an organization, you actually pay. And you're expecting for that solution to be available at all times, no matter where you're connecting from. In the case of VDI, it's a little bit different. It could be also in the cloud, but this one is where you can either host or you own the compute, you host the infrastructure. And in the terms of the pricing model, it's a little bit different because you're thinking more of a long-term fixed pricing. So there's a big difference between the two. And again, I want to make sure this is clear for all of us. Now, when you look at the way that the market has been evolving over the years, when it comes to on-premises VDI, cloud VDI, DaaS, and so forth, these are the different areas where customers actually you're responsible for. So again, this is starting with the on the far left-hand side with the on-premises VDI. You own the infrastructure, you own the desktops, you own everything pretty much. You're responsible for making sure the environment is up and running. You own the compute. You need to make sure you have your disaster recovery in place. Again, it's a lot of heavy lifting from that perspective. The next option for a lot of organizations is to go to the cloud VDI, where, hey, I'm going to actually remove a lot of the burden from the compute, the hypervisor. I'm going to actually let the provider take care of that while I take care of the rest, user management, images, user experience, so on. The next phase is where, okay, now let me move to the next stage where I can actually have an actual desktop, as a service that I can just connect and become available. yes, a lot more responsibility goes to the provider or the hyperscaler in this case, but still you own a lot of the different components when it comes to user experience, employee management, and so on, where you still have a cost that you need to still add into the traditional DaaS products. Now, the ideal world is for, let's say, if you have a DaaS Plus solution where it's all inclusive, fully managed by the provider, where all you need to do is just make sure that your end users connect to the environment anywhere in the world. You have the proper, the proper client, the proper browser in place that you can access these resources. That's the ideal world, and this is what exactly we're going to talk about more in detail later on. Now, going back to the market growth, and this is an area that I noticed customers and organizations believe that the VDI world is actually slowing down or is actually diminishing because a lot of the infrastructure, a lot of the resources that you used to virtualize, most of the times they're already available on the web. A perfect example is web applications. The subscription as a service business is growing exponentially year over year, but actually that's also one part of the pie in that market. When it comes to DaaS, you still need to have a full solution where, yes, maybe my application became modern, you can connect from anywhere, but still you need to manage the endpoint. You still need to manage the infrastructure. You need to actually take care of all these different pain points that, a lot of the providers, they just give you like a very small amount. So when it comes to the market, again, back in 2020, it was around $4 billion. The expectation around 2025 is going to be growing by $9.1 billion. In 2035, it's going to be around $49 billion, which is exponential, almost like a 1,000 times, 1,000% greater, which is fantastic. So the drivers for this big growth remains the same, I will say, over the years. I will say like the big one that maybe I can talk about a little bit later is about the AI and the automation, which obviously is the big word nowadays, since the technology is revolving around it. But at the end of the day, hybrid work remains the same. Remote capabilities, BYOD programs, all of this is still the common factors that a lot of businesses are trying to drive in their organizations and make sure that you have a DaaS solution that you can really connect, have a secure environment, and let employees do their work, successfully. Now, those were the drivers, but what about the pain points? Obviously, you made the big move to the traditional DaaS. Now, let's discuss about those pain points that you may face, along the way. There are three big areas. I'm sure there are a lot more, but again, these are the key areas that I want to emphasize the most. Price predictability, I will say like this, not the number one for a lot of customers and organizations who want to create a specific budget for the next fiscal year. A lot of the traditional DaaS solutions, they will say, yes, you need to only pay this very low fee on your per user per month usage. However, they don't take into account storage, bandwidth usage, so on and so forth. That obviously that's going to increment the cost factor. Availability and security concerns is a big one. I will say hyperscalers instability is an area that I try to tell my customers, hey, let's not forget what happens with AWS. In fact, Microsoft just had an outage over the last 24 hours with Office 365. So that reminds us that hyperscalers are not invincible, anywhere pretty much. Nobody's invincible in terms of an outage. It's just a reminder for us to build a strong infrastructure that you can have a hybrid solution where no matter what is happening around the world, you still have you still have business continuity in place. When it comes to data sovereignty and residency, another big area for a lot of our customers where you want to remain that data within the same, the country perimeters and so forth. That's an area that definitely is a big concern for a lot of our customers. Limited options for backups and disaster recoveries. That's a big area because people think like, oh, I'm using Windows 365 or AVD everything is actually backed up by Microsoft, but the reality is not. So you need to start adding those additional costs to maintain that solution in a highly available manner. And last but not least, when it comes to complexity, obviously you start small. You start with the traditional DaaS solution that is working really well, let's say for a period of time. But as more employees get onboarded, as more maybe a merchant acquisition happening in your organization, things become more complex, and the complexity adds more costs to you and more, to the whole infrastructure that you need to maintain. So this is an area that, again, this is another pain point that a lot of customers face today. Now, when you move or when you make the move to traditional DaaS, yes, you may remove, I will say, a bulk of that complexity from a VDI point of view, but the cost is still between 2 and 5 times higher, versus what you were expecting, essentially. So this complexity, this is where we believe there is a better alternative, and this is what I'm going to talk about more in detail. So what if we actually have a secure cloud-native digital workspace solution that you can just, let's say this is a DaaS Plus, that it goes beyond the traditional DaaS and Cloud PC. Now, this is the typical, these 4 pillars are the typical areas where I notice a lot of customers face through. Again, I will say like the big one is the high cost and complexity, as I explained earlier with the customer pain points. You need to have some predictability, like how much is going to really cost me per month, per year, for the term, in order to actually budget that in, over the quarters. When it comes to vulnerabilities, you have a solution where you can actually have pre and post assessments to ensure your data is actually secure when you connect to this digital workspace? Do you have a solution that, when it comes to fragmented digital experience, do you have a solution that gives you like a unified platform or a unified experience that you can just log in and you can access everything that you can, everything that you're supposed to be accessing when it comes to internal web applications, modern applications on the web, and so forth? Everything needs to be unified in a way that the user experience is not compromised. So with that being said, I would like to introduce you to the Secure DaaS Plus solution. Now, what is the Secure DaaS Plus solution? It's not another Cloud PC, another VDI. This is a fully managed, all-inclusive digital workspace with the purpose of solving those challenges that we discussed earlier. And the best part is to give you a lot of cost savings. Now, this is the part, obviously, not every organization is the same. And this is the beauty of this solution, because this solution is essentially custom. It is built for you to customize it at your will. And based on those parameters or essentially the blueprint, we can essentially give you a more predictable price and term. So imagine if you actually, let's say from a cloud VDI point of view, whatever price you're actually paying, you can essentially get the same price, but you're getting all the features that I discussed earlier: endpoint management, web security, the actual compute, disaster recovery, and so forth. So imagine if that solution exists, which in reality it does. Now, when we compare ourselves with other solutions, again, these are the major players out there, the Windows 365, the AVD, AWS Workspaces Score. Again, this is based on, again, I will say like the medium configuration, the 4 vCPU, 16 gigs of RAM type of configuration for these desktops, where you can consider this like a general purpose. Now, from the general purpose point of view on the other major solutions, they may work well if you're just doing web browsing and maybe opening a small Word document here and there. But the reality is that today in the world that we live in, you're trying to use AI tools you're trying to use an agentic assistant to actually help you create a marketing document, or you need to actually, again, use your AI agent to actually review a finance sheet and actually give you some charts. So again, the world is evolving in a way that the typical desktop is not the same anymore. So we need to provide you more in a managed fashion. And this is what Secure DaaS gives you in play. Like, in this starting configuration, which is, again, only $29.99 per month, you actually get a fully managed. You get a hosting solution where you can have it in a hybrid deployment. You can have it in your own data center. We can have it in our own data centers, around the world, as Patrick mentioned, or we can have it in a combination between hyperscalers, on premises, you name it. There's no limitations in that perspective. The other aspect is on the operating systems. Again, a lot of vendors say, yes, we support Windows, we support Linux, the combination of the two, but what about Mac devices? What about Mac OS, where you need to have maybe a development team to access those resources remotely and be able to do the work efficiently? And again, this is what Secure DaaS can give you. So this over here is the cost of a cloud PC, the typical cost of a cloud PC in the US. Now, as I said, the 4 vCPU, 16 gigs of RAM is not the ideal world, because again, all these different workloads and components that you're going to be running, essentially the desktop will become sluggish and poorly perform. So most times, a lot of customers, they go all the way up to 80 CPUs, 36 of RAM, and that cost is going to go all the way up to $162, more or less. Again, not taking into account the storage, the egress traffic, and so on. So what if I tell you that we have the same type of configuration, but only for $121 per month? So again, significant price savings, definitely in an area that we're experts on, that we can give you the performance expected in that point, in that type of solution. Now, let me change the gears a little bit and talk more about the technology stack. The traditional DaaS looks like this, more or less. You start with your compute hardware. You have your CPU, RAM, storage, GPUs, etc., all being managed by a hypervisor. The hypervisor obviously is going to give you access to these Windows or Linux resources. And obviously, in order to add that virtualized solution or digital workspace, this is where the VDI and DaaS stack comes into play, again, to give you access to desktops, legacy apps, modern apps, you name it, whatever it is that you're looking for. But the very top part is the critical part that a lot of customers don't realize, that even if I make the move to these traditional DaaS solutions, they don't give you everything included. You have to, let's say, if you're looking for advanced web security solutions and advanced monitoring, or a management solution that will give you like a single pane of glass, that's not there, unfortunately. And this is something extra that you need to actually acquire. Now, the typical end user, the typical endpoint will connect to this not so inclusive solution that, again, it will give you some level of experience. Now, what if I tell you that in the Secure DaaS technology stack, you're actually connecting to an optimized hypervisor. You also get access to a Mac OS solution, again, based on your needs. Also, the beauty of it is the hybrid VDI DaaS platform. And what I mean by hybrid is, again, is not you're not fixed to only access a specific resource. You can have resources hosted in maybe in AWS, maybe in Azure, maybe in Google Cloud, you name it. It doesn't matter. The system is flexible enough to give you access to all of those resources in a unified fashion. And the best of all is all the third-party tools that I discussed earlier are all inclusive. Now, from an end user point of view, just to wrap it up successfully, you need to have this technology stack all fully managed, secure, from not only from the endpoint, because that's the advantage here, is you want to make sure the endpoint is also secure, that you can successfully connect to the environment, again, in a secure manner, so that your data and your apps are still within that ecosystem of resources. Now, zooming in a little bit in terms of the traditional PC, Cloud PC, and Secure DaaS, these are some of the features that I discussed earlier, but at least to kind of give you guys a little bit more insights of what those are. The web security, as I said, I mean, the solution actually provides bot, web application firewall, distributed denial of service capabilities. A lot of the web security tools that you may spend thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, it's all there for you at your disposal. It's just a matter of turn it on and configure it. Same thing with the data loss prevention policies. Again, you need to have a context-aware solution that essentially scans your system constantly. Even though, let's say that you've been successfully logged in from an identity point of view, but you still need to make sure the device is not compromised, or at least is not being hampered by something else, from a security perspective. And this is where what this policy will give you, that control. And last but not least, endpoint management. I mean, this is where not only from, laptops, desktops, thin clients, you can think about it, mobile devices, again, a full ecosystem of a managed solution that you can get access to your Secure DaaS solution. Again, this is just to kind of highlight, again, that uniqueness that we have on the Secure DaaS. Is a fully custom configuration. It is not like a one-size-fits-all type of deal. It is actually compliance and secure, depending on from the public sector, from a healthcare perspective. If you're looking for a solution that you want to rest assured that all the certifications are in place and so forth, this is a solution that is at your disposal. So you don't have to spend thousands of dollars per year or per month or whatever the case is just to build a secure infrastructure on your own. And when it comes to getting more resources, it's a GPU-ready solution that is at a fraction of the cost with with the other traditional DaaS solutions out there. Because again, this will give you access to GPU resources to again work on those agents, machine learning capabilities, etc. Whatever the team is deciding to do. Now, the beauty is this solution is powered by leading VDI and DaaS technologies. This is, we actually use we have a huge advantage on the protocol side. It provides the best user experience possible, depending of no matter where you're connecting from, based on your bandwidth, based on your connection quality, it will adjust dynamically and it will give you the best possible experience at that point. And with that being said, if you combine all that Secure DaaS plus with the expertise that we bring into the business, this is, our Secure DaaS is essentially powered by Citrix that will give you that secure digital experience that you're looking for. This is an area that I will say to highlight here, and I know we're almost on time, but one area that I want to highlight here is the fact that this solution will give you a unified experience across all the different solutions that you can think of. You don't have to actually pick only one specific hosting location. You can actually have many hosting locations, but the beauty of it is that unified management, you will be able to experience it. So, you can actually move workloads at will based on availability, based on cost, and so forth. But again, the options is available for you there. From a certifications and compliance, this is an area that we already, again, all the certifications that we have in place from public sector perspective, HIPAA, et cetera, we're all covered. And last but not least, let me just cover a few case studies. I know we're almost on time, but just to kind of give you an idea why price predictability is important for anyone really in the business. This is an example from a finance firm, again, investment bank. They made the move to to an AVD VDI type of solution. What they didn't realize is the cost for uploading and downloading data, large amounts of data. There was an extra cost that they didn't take into account. So this is where our solution, is an all-inclusive monthly fee. You don't need to worry about, we're not going to penalize you because you transfer data, very large amount of data from a specific period of time. It doesn't matter. It's all inclusive in the pricing that you get. From a public sector perspective, this is an area, as I said, the CMMC, getting CMMC certified and compliant is a very challenging effort. You have to build all these different requirements, all these different infrastructure components that you need to obviously that will consume compute in whatever location it is. If it's a hyperscaler or on premises, But the net of it is, rather than you go through that trouble, hey, we'll give you access to already a CMMC certified solution that all you need to do is pay for the monthly price, and that's it. And all your users can actually do their work securely in a platform that they can. Now, the last one is more about from a retail perspective. Let's say if instead of you paying a fixed price per month, you're actually paying based on the usage. This one is a little bit dangerous. Again, some customers decide to use it this way, but the danger in this case is, for example, in this retailer, they were doing some maintenance. The IT staff forgot to actually shut down some of their VMs or the VDIs, and unfortunately, the cost went exponentially up when they realized they left some unused VMs up and running, which obviously were consuming compute in the hyperscaler solution. So in our case, again, you don't have to worry about that because, again, if you want to keep it up and running 24/7, that's fine. Again, it's the same price that you will be paying in a monthly fee. With that being said, let me switch gears. We're going to wrap it up. Now, why customers choose Altanora? And again, as Patrick mentioned, I mean, we are the best in the business. We've been around in this solution for almost 20 years. We know VDI really well. We know DaaS. We know the licensing aspect. We know the inner workings of how make customers successful. So definitely take that into account. We are one of the largest teams in North America. And the beauty of it is, like, what makes us unique as well is that we also develop intellectual property for a specific VDI use cases. So again, whatever it comes out of the box for most of these solutions, it may not fit your needs, but we can actually, we can come to you and give you a very special solution that will fit your needs and platform. And now, if you want to know more about this Secure DaaS solution, and if you want to actually sit down with me and Patrick and some of our team members to discuss more about it and how it can actually fit in your business, please feel free to scan the QR code. Feel free to actually schedule a phone call with us. More than happy to go over those in greater detail. But at least, this is going to give you an opportunity to explore, and even my opportunity to show you exactly how this platform behaves in your organization. So.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Adolfo. And actually, we have some contact. Oh, you can just stay on full screen. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
But essentially, thank you very much for that. And I think the biggest thing to premise here is that, this is a niche offering that we provide to end customers, but we also do a lot of work and deliver this on behalf of a lot of the larger solution integrators. So it just kind of gives you an idea of the breadth and depth of our expertise. One thing I did notice, some is I think that the chat accidentally might have been turned off. So if people had questions, I don't think that they're able to submit them during the course of the
apologies
meeting.
about that, but I think the Q&A section is open, so that's where we're asking people to submit their questions.
Okay, perfect.
Speaking of which, I don't see any questions, so feel free to drop your questions in here if you have any questions. If we go back to the QR code, Adolfo, please. So please feel free to scan the QR code if you want a free demo for actually how it would work for your current environment. Please go ahead. It's a free demo. We can do like a little workshop, and also stay tuned because we actually have an upcoming webinar in November. So probably for the English phone, it will be November 20th, where we will probably have a full demo environment. Let's roll up our sleeves and get right into it. So if that's something that would interest you, please go ahead and go on our website. We're probably going to have it up soon. We'll send you emails if you're interested to sign up as well, probably in the next week or two. So thank you so much for joining us. Patrick, if you have anything else to say.
Well, in addition to the workshop itself, right, we do offer some very high-level baseline assessments as well to help organizations get a better understanding of what their requirements are and so on. And some of these assessments are actually complementary in order to help, like I said, our customers and our partners just get a better sense of what are the true requirements that they're looking to achieve? Do they have a baseline environment that can support that, and provide them with some guidance on things to investigate within the marketplace for various types of solutions that can meet those specific end user or corporate objectives. So feel free to reach out to us in order to secure a free assessment or to go through a workshop. We're more than happy to assist. The objective overall of today's discussion, right, was really to help people understand the power of DaaS and where DaaS is going in regards to the DaaS Plus solution, and that it is a unique offering that can help mitigate security risks, management costs, and provide a streamless end user experience, right, based on your specific use case, which is why we are experts in multiple platforms. So we do bring that agnostic approach to ensure that the right solution is proposed for your specific needs. So I think that's it for now, unless we have any questions in the Q&A.
I don't see any, so we can wrap it up here. Thank you everyone for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you soon in our next webinar, and yeah, stay tuned. Thank you.
Great. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.